Good afternoon, drawing class. Well, we spent an awful lot of time working on these grid drawings. So you can see grids are important to me. I've got grids in a lot of my abstract art from a number of years ago. Prior to doing portraits, that's what I dealt with, a lot of grids. You're working on local value. You've been working on local value since the very beginning of this semester, trying to get your grids drawn out to get value scales. And now you're dealing with trying to recreate a picture from a photograph of either a portrait or a landscape, not a landscape, but an interior scape of the building. And you've been trying to recreate it with just value. Some of you have been very successful with it. Some of you are having a real hard time seeing it for yourselves. Some are very unhappy with their own drawings, and, well, some of you need to spend a little bit more time working on them. Before you get started drawing, what I need you to do is to take a look at Chapter 2 in the textbook. This is on critiquing. You and your substitute are going to be reading over the first portion of this chapter, Lesson 1, that talks about the 4 different parts of a good critique: description, analysis, interpretation, and judgment. After you're done reading that over and discussing it with your friends after each section, so after you talk about description, you and your neighbor are going to take a look at the book, talk about description, explain it to one another, and then as a group you'll continue reading interpretation, or description analysis is the second portion, etc., so on, so on. You got the idea. After you're done with that, get to work. Some of you have cleaning to do on your drawing. Some of you have to finish the drawing. Some of you have, it feels to me as though you've given up a little bit early and there's still some work to do. So make sure you get back to those drawings. If you have to push the grays to exaggerate them, push them. There's no reason not to. If you have to lighten some areas up, lighten them up. Again, exaggerate things. What is it you can do to see it better? That's right. Hang it up on the chalkboard. Step back from it. Squint. If you gotta squint really hard to see it, do that. Hold your photograph up with it, or hang the photograph up next to it so that you can see the both of them side by side. See what's working. You might have to make some artistic decisions, some artistic choices to make it work really, really well for you. Again, process is important. Product's important too. But I want you to appreciate all the hard work and effort you've put into it. So if you're going to turn in something that's less than A quality, you need to rethink your process. You need to rethink some of the attitude you might have regarding the project. The next pieces are going to be a lot more energetic, a lot more movement to them, so bear with me. On Monday, we're going to take some time together as a group and look through the critiquing process one more time and start doing critiques. We're going to do some written critiques on Monday, and we're going to do some oral critiques Monday and Tuesday. And then Wednesday, hopefully, we'll be back to work. We'll be dealing with lines and contour. Let me check my notes real quick. So we're dealing with Chapter 2, Understanding Critiquing. You're going to work on your value drawings. Understand, I really want you to understand how you now see value. Do you see value the same way you saw it before we started this? Or do you notice those subtleties? Do you notice the small little bits and pieces of gray, or the really dark blacks, or the very light whites? I want you to understand how you are visually seeing things now. Again, finalize these drawings. Clean up the edges, erase the numbers across the top and the sides. Make sure your edges are crisp and sharp and clean. And at the end of the class, what I'd like you to do is take a look at your goal sheet and give yourself a couple of summary statements. Your substitute has the questions. I want you to ask yourself, what are you particularly happy with? What did you struggle with in regarding this piece? I think they're a little more clearly written out in my notes. So, if you're not going to be done with this, what do you need to do with it? Do you need to just leave it here and pray that some elf gets into your locker and finishes it for you over the weekend? Well, I hope not. I hope you take it home. If you need to get some supplies, take some charcoal home. There are some baggies in the back storage room. If one of you have seen where I've put them, you can go get them, or you can ask your substitute to do that for you. Other than that, work hard today, folks. You've got a lot of work to do. Some of you There's a handful of you that were wandering quite a bit yesterday, and I needed to make sure you sat down. That's why I gave you guys a lot to do. I don't expect anything but hard work today, so keep your hands busy. Keep yourselves working on these P's. Perfect them. Make them the best you possibly can. Anyway, enough said. Go ahead. Make sure your goal sheets are filled out. Get out your textbooks. Get out the textbooks. They should be by this. I think they're by the work tables or by the sinks. Or is it the sinks and the work tables? Anyways, go ahead and get those out. Turn to chapter 2. Your substitute, and you will read through that lesson 1 on the 4 parts of critique. Have a great weekend. We'll see you guys on Monday. Any questions, email me. Otherwise, bye-bye.